I, like so many others, had no clue who Andrew Tate was just a few short months ago. And then suddenly his videos started showing up all over the place. And there were narratives being built around him by the mainstream. And the opinions were everywhere about who this guy was. And his videos were in the tens of millions. It was all over the place. And I really didn't know much about him other than there was this guy who had viral videos all over the place. The media clearly didn't like him. I heard a lot of content creators really talking him up in a very positive way. And then suddenly he was wiped out from the internet. All of the platforms wiped him out. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. He was gone. He was completely eliminated from that. And then suddenly the content creators that I heard talking about him suddenly started flipping that and talking bad about him. And then the mainstream media started talking bad about him. So I started to do my research because I'm like, well, if the mainstream has gotten rid of him, as the big tech have gotten rid of him, and they haven't given a reason why, he must be saying some things that are really upsetting them. So I wanted to see what he was all about. And I've listened to a lot of his stuff. Dude is really on point with a lot of the stuff he's been saying. And the more you watch his long form stuff, the more it starts to make sense. Now, yes, he's got stuff that was clipped out of context, all of that. I totally understand that. That can rub people the wrong way. It's the internet. Everybody's going to be offended over whatever. But listen to these points that he makes right here. I've got a couple of different points that I want everyone to listen to. And this is one of the main reasons that they were really upset with Andrew Tate. Here we go.
In the modern world where they convince a woman to get a job, the man to get a job, they inflate the currency so nobody can exist any other way because it's too expensive. The parents are out working all day. The school and the internet and the matrix raise your children. Your children go to school all day and be told things that you may not want them to learn. Then they sit on the internet and read things and watch things you may not want them to watch. You talk to them for 10 minutes at the end of the day and they go to bed. You're fighting with your 10 minutes against endless hours of the most entertaining programming or the most forceful programming. In school, it's forceful. On the internet, it's entertaining, convincing them of ideas that you perhaps don't agree with. I've seen it myself on YouTube. I've seen a guy in America driving his car and his kids were in the back seat and he was arguing with them about an issue. And they was like, where did you hear that? School? He's like, why did the school tell you that? That's not true. And his own children are arguing with him because they learned it in school. Have you ever tried to take your children out of school? You'll get fined. You'll get in trouble. No, your kids have to go to school. Yeah. You have to give your kids away to the school. If you don't give your kids away to the brainwashing, you'll get in trouble. In the modern world where
so damn accurate. I mean, so damn accurate with what he's saying right there. And it's part of a bigger issue that we've seen across the board. And we've seen so many people silenced, but all of those people were on one side of the political aisle. And to his point right here, this right here, we don't hear much about Democrats and leftists being let back on Twitter. Why? Because they were never kicked off in the first place. Their lies and misinformation simply escaped all scrutiny. Censorship has been deployed as a one-way operation against conservatives. At Elon Musk responds, correct. He's seeing it. He's seeing it from the back end right now. He's seeing that this has been a one-way street. Can you point to one or two leftists that probably were banned? Sure, you can. But generally speaking, all of the people that are being let back in are not left-wingers. Some of them aren't even conservatives, but they're not left-wingers. And the crime against the left is not being left. The crime is not being conservative to them. The crime is not being left, because if you're not left, you are a conservative in their mind. So you have this stuff with Andrew Tate that's just fascinating to listen to. Now, I understand some of the clips that he's put out there can be viewed upon in a certain way. There's also some other narratives that, again, I don't know if what's true and what's not. Although the digging I've done, a lot of the stuff that he's been accused of, there is no evidence to support any of that up to this point in time. If someone can show me different, then I'll be happy to look at it. I like a lot of the stuff that I hear from Andrew Tate, 100%. Now, what's interesting is that people like Logan Paul, who he is roasting Logan Paul since he's back on Twitter now. He's absolutely roasting Logan Paul. And here's another take from him on Valuetainment, which, again, this is a fantastic full-length interview he did along with his Piers Morgan interview, even though Piers interrupted him like crazy. Andrew Tate held his composure, was very calm, and definitely came out looking better than Piers in that one. But let's listen to what he says about Logan Paul. I cannot agree with this more.
Process that. that.
So first things first, I want to make it very, very clear that Logan Paul is absolutely and utterly a tool of the Matrix. He's a bought and sold individual with no soul. He doesn't stand up for anything, and he doesn't mean anything he says. He gets pieces of paper from Susan or whoever else telling him what he's allowed to say on his channel to retain it.
You believe that?
100%. Not only do I believe it, he's proved it himself. He will flip-flop on any issue. He can be bought and sold. The dude's a bitch. Logan Paul is a bitch, and I will say that here publicly. If anyone wants, I'll fight him for free. The guy's an idiot.
No money needed to fight Logan Paul.
Logan Paul doesn't believe in any of the things he says. Logan Paul is a man, if you ever were unfortunate enough to consume his content, I get sent clips of it all the time by people mocking him. As soon as something comes out, whether it's Harry Styles wearing a dress, whether it's Lil Nas twerking on the devil, whether it's this, he just sits there and goes, yeah, this is great. Yeah, this is great. He is a talking piece. He is the mouthpiece for the agenda. The people have come along, people who are trying to force a narrative, and they said, look, we need to have some degree of control over the exact demographic that Tate has control over. We're going to use Logan Paul and attempt to use him. And he sits there and just purports the bullshit points of view that the whole Hollywood establishment want him to purport. He doesn't believe in the things he said. He's told what to say. And because he was canceled before and it emotionally destroyed him, he sat on camera crying his eyes out like a little girl instead of being a man about it. He is so fearful of the mob and so scared of being canceled again that he's going to sit there and say anything he's told. He doesn't believe that shit. Before I was canceled, him and his boyfriend Mike did endless videos supporting me, laughing about me, saying how funny I was, tagging me on Instagram, inviting me places, etc. The second I'm canceled, they flip reverse it and shit themselves because they don't want to get canceled too. They are children. That's all they are. So Logan Paul's a bitch. That's the first thing about Logan Paul.
So I can't agree with him more about that. And to his point, let me see if I can find it because I know he was retweeting Logan Paul here. To his point, and this is what drives me crazy about it, you know, because I mean we all remember when Logan Paul got super canceled after the whole incident right here. So you go to Logan Paul's Twitter account. Look what his pinned tweet is. Look what his pinned tweet is.
My biggest learnings from all of this, and I'm embarrassed that it's taken me 25 years to realize this. It is not enough to be not racist. You have to be anti-racist.
Yes.
Condemn those who feign superiority because of the color of their skin. Friends, hold friends accountable. Hold your family accountable. Hold yourself accountable. And most importantly, we must hold our authorities accountable. Police officers, politicians, policymakers. As Killer Mike said, bully the politicians at the voting booth. Make your voice heard. Attend a protest. Speak up against injustice. If you're white, if you look like me, use your privilege. And for those who do not think white privilege exists, you are fucking blind. You are delusional and you are part of the problem. I can count on 0 hands the amount of times that I have feared for my life at a routine traffic stop. That has never happened. Half of the reason I'm able to get away with some of my hooligan shit I do in my vlogs is because I'm a white kid. I'm confident that I do not have to fear for my life should the cops.
So, and we can continue to listen to this nonsense if we want, but I mean, the point is what Andrew Tate said about him is super, super accurate. And that's just who he is. Like, he is a bought and paid for individual. And I think that the game is changing right now with Elon and what he's done with Twitter. That is awesome. I love it. I love it. I don't know how much more the pendulum is going to swing, but right now things are very, very interesting. And just to be clear, while I have big problems with Logan Paul, I've seen some of his stuff in WWE. It's pretty fantastic. I mean, the guy is a very talented athlete. He is he's an incredibly talented individual. So while I have problems with the fact that he will say the talking points, I do believe he's bought and paid for from that standpoint, just like Andrew Tate said. Holy shit, he is incredibly talented. He really, really is. And I kind of appreciated some of the steps he was taking to kind of rehabilitate his image after he went too far, because I think everybody deserves a second chance. But when he bought into that narrative, when he bought into that white privilege narrative, and he put that out there, and it got like 20 million views or whatever it was, I was just like, oh my gosh, dude, this guy's so pathetic. He's so terrified of being canceled again. He is everything wrong with the internet. He really, really is. He's a guy who went out there and did horrifically terrible things, and he was fine with it until he got caught, until he got busted, until it all kind of come crashing down on him. And as soon as it did, then he pulls the left-wing card. And now he's a full-blown leftist out there pushing those left-wing talking points. Right now is a very, very crucial time with the internet and the culture. And I think it's very important to pay attention to the people that are finally returning to these platforms to see exactly how this pendulum shift is going to go. So thank you guys for checking out this video. I appreciate it. Have a great day, and we will talk to you later.